Welcome to week 5 of the quest. As we continue on our quest, we begin to see transformation start to happen. The first transformation is the transformation of the mind. The question here is, are you listening? And what are you listening to? One of the primary ways in which we open the channel between the human and divine is to develop our intuition. Our intuition is that inner sense that listens to the prodding, the still small voice, the quiet push that says continue on, or see life differently, or respond differently. Now, sometimes what our intuition hears is not what our intellect believes is true. And we can find ourselves caught in the bind between what our intuition knows to be spiritually true and what our intellect thinks is the worldly wisdom. So take, for instance, you lose your job. And your intuition says, wow, this is the best thing that has ever happened to me. Now I can go follow my dream. And your intellect says, what, are you crazy? This can happen when relationships change. It can happen any time that we are confronted with something in our life that's either a crisis or a challenge or a change. And as we open the channel of awareness, our intuition is more and more likely to speak to us from the spiritual perspective. And our job is to learn to listen. Our job is to, well, I don't want to say quiet the intellect, actually teach the intellect to acquiesce to what intuition is showing us. When we have intellectual agreement, when our intellect acquiesces to the spiritual truth, now our whole being begins to become into alignment. And we're no longer battling inside ourselves, but all of us is moving in the same direction. How you know this internal battle is going on, how you know you're not listening to your intuition is every time you say, yeah, but, don't you know about this? Yeah, but what happens? Yeah, but what if? Yeah, but is your intellectual trying to figure it out based on worldly wisdom or the past or what you've heard from other people, right? That is the key to understanding or to seeing whether or not your intuition and your intellect are in alignment. This channel of awareness that we open up is our ability to begin to hear and listen to truth with a capital T. We're beginning to see more of the spiritual truth, hear more of the spiritual truth than we are to listen to the wisdom of the material world, which, as we all know, has gotten us exactly where we are today. So some of the questions to consider then is, what are you listening to? Are you listening to your intuition? Do you even know how your intuition speaks to you? Can you hear it? How does your intuition speak to you? Does it speak as a feeling in your gut? Does it speak as a nudge in your solar plexus? Does it speak as a still small voice? Maybe it speaks as an idea in a book that you read, or the third time somebody has given you an idea and you think, well, why have I ignored it the first 2 times? How does your intuition speak to you? We have to each learn to listen to that. And then we have to begin to show ourselves all of the times that we followed our intuition and it actually did work out well. We show that to our intellect so our intellect can begin to acquiesce to it. By the same token, we show ourselves places where we didn't listen to our intuition and we realize we should have. That's just as good a lesson to our intellect to say, see, if I had listened to my intuition at that point, this would have turned out differently. So we use these memories or these images in our own consciousness to begin to show ourselves how these two things work well together and what happens when we ignore it or we don't work well together. So perhaps the question you guys could talk about here in your home study group is, how do you focus on listening? How do you focus on listening to your intuition? How do you practice this deep spiritual skill of opening your channel of awareness? In the 5th painting, truth comes to the first Lord, mind. Once the channel of awareness has been opened in consciousness, we receive our inheritance as children of God. You'll notice in the paintings that the lords are becoming more translucent. As the lords become more translucent, the muses become more permanent. On the left, the dove comes to the woman while the man sleeps. Very often the male intellect side of the psyche has to be asleep in order for the female receptive side to receive the truth, which is no doubt why intuitions of the truth often come when least expected. In the middle, the dove flies down to the figure of the mind, implying that the truth in question, initially accepted on the right side of the brain, is now accepted by the left of the brain as well. Now that their channel is open, the man and the woman have a direct link to the voice of God, symbolized here by the old hermit on the right of the painting.
Standing by with a smile. Ready, set, one.